Danny Koker was the face of counting cars. Then suddenly, he disappeared without a trace. No explanations, no answers. What's the secret behind his sudden silence? Today, we're diving into the hidden story no one wants you to know. One day, he was everywhere, on TV in Las Vegas, restoring classic cars like a rock star. Then suddenly, nothing. No new episodes, no social media updates, no press appearances. Fans began asking the same question. What actually happened to Danny Koker? For a guy who once seemed impossible to ignore, his sudden silence felt eerie. Had something happened behind the scenes? Was he done with TV for good? Or was something even darker going on? This wasn't just any reality TV star, fading into obscurity. Danny Koker was a hard counting cars, his energy, his obsession with vintage vehicles, his love for rock and roll. So when fans realized he hadn't been on screen in months, and that counting cars itself had gone quiet, the speculation exploded. Death hoaxes spread online. Some swore they'd heard he was seriously ill. Others were convinced he'd left the show after major fallout. But here's the thing. Danny never gave a clear reason for his disappearance. No statement. No goodbye. Just a quiet fade into the shadows. And that's where the mystery begins. Before Danny Koker became a reality TV icon, he was already building a name in Las Vegas. Born into a musical family, his father was a baritone singer with Cathedral Quartet. Danny grew up between Detroit and Vegas, obsessed with two things: cars and classic rock. By the time most kids were playing video games, Danny was already rebuilding engines and collecting vintage rides. He wasn't just some guy who liked cars. Danny lived and breathed them. He opened Count's Customs in Las Vegas, a hot rod and chopper customization shop that quickly turned into a local legend. Word spread about the bandana-wearing boss with a deep voice and even deeper love for anything with a motor. His real breakout came with Pawn Stars. Danny was a recurring expert, called in whenever Rick Harrison had a rare car on the lot. Audiences immediately took to him. He was loud, passionate, and unpredictable. The kind of guy who dropped 5 figures on a car just because he liked the hood ornament. That spark turned into its own wildfire when Counting Cars premiered in 2012. A spin-off centered around Count's Customs. The show wasn't just about restoring old vehicles. It was about Danny's larger-than-life personality. He had swagger, opinions, and story for days. The cars were cool, but Danny was the reason people tuned in. In just a few seasons, Counting Cars became one of History Channel's biggest hits. Koker wasn't just a car guy anymore. He was a brand. But as fast as the fame came, cracks would soon start to show. At the height of Counting Cars, Danny Koker wasn't just a reality star. He was a cultural icon for gearheads and rock fans alike. The show had a simple formula. Find a beat-up classic, restore it with outrageous flair, and watch Danny obsess over every detail like it was a lost piece of American history. But it wasn't just about the cars. It was about the passion, the attitude, the wild decisions that only Danny would dare to make. He didn't just restore vehicles. He resurrected them. His shop, Count's Customs, became a place where rusted-out junkers were turned into rolling art. From vintage Mustangs to tricked-out motorcycles, the bills were jaw-dropping. But Danny's enthusiasm is what really pulled viewers in. You never knew what he'd say, or when he'd drop thousands of dollars on a car without blinking. Fans loved his raw authenticity. No scripts, no filters, just Danny being Danny. He wasn't some polished TV personality. He was a guy who'd rather listen to Black Sabbath than sit in a boardroom. The boss who worked with his crew like a brother, not a CEO. His charisma turned what could have been another car show into must-watch TV. Ratings climbed, merchandise flew off shelves, and Vegas tourists lined up outside Count's Customs just to catch a glimpse of the man himself. For a while, Danny Koker could do no wrong. But behind all that success, something was brewing. Because even as the show thrived, rumors began to swirl, and then slowly, Danny started to vanish. It didn't happen all at once. There wasn't a dramatic exit or a tearful farewell episode. But fans who paid close attention noticed a change. Danny was showing up less and less. Episodes started focusing more on the crew, Horny Mike, Kevin, and the rest, while the man who built the brand seemed to be quietly stepping into the background. Online forums lit up with theories. Was Danny sick? Burned out? Fired? Viewers scoured every episode for clues. Some even claimed he looked tired or different, pointing to changes in his appearance as evidence that something was wrong. The History Channel stayed silent. There was no press release, no announcement, just fewer episodes, longer gaps between seasons, and a noticeable drop in Danny's screen time. For a public figure who once seemed to thrive in the spotlight, Danny's retreat was jarring. His social media, once filled with updates about the shop and the show, went quiet. Interviews dried up. He wasn't promoting anything. He wasn't performing with his band. It was like he vanished on purpose. What made it all more unsettling was the lack of clarity. Fans weren't just confused, they were concerned. Theories ranged from contract disputes to health crises to family issues. But there was one thing nobody could deny. Danny Koker was no longer where he used to be, and the silence only made the mystery grow. While fans were busy speculating about Danny's absence, a storm was quietly brewing behind the scenes. It wasn't just about TV. In 2017, Counts Customs was hit with a lawsuit that sent shockwaves through the fan base. A former employee, Joseph Frontiera, accused the shop of fraud and mishandling funds. He claimed he was owed profits and that financial records were being manipulated behind closed doors. Worse yet, there were accusations that company money was being used for personal expenses, car parts charged to the business, shady accounting, and a lawsuit that exposed a much messier side to the operation than fans ever saw on TV. Danny wasn't named in every part of the suit, but as the face of brand, his name was dragged into the headlines. And that wasn't the only drama. Other former employees came forward with claims of poor management and unfair treatment. Some alleged that promises were made and never delivered, especially when it came to profit sharing and recognition for their work on the show. Suddenly, Counts Customs didn't seem like the tight-knit family it had always appeared to be on camera. These legal issues didn't just threaten the shop's reputation. They put serious strain on Danny's empire. Even if he wasn't directly involved in every controversy, his silence spoke volumes. Fans who once saw him as a laid-back rock and roll boss now began to wonder if the whole operation was coming undone. And as the lawsuits dragged on, Danny withdrew even further from the public eye. But the legal chaos wasn't the only reason people were worried. Because while all this was happening, the internet was exploding with even darker rumors. When a celebrity goes silent, the internet doesn't wait for answers. It fills in the blanks. And in Danny Koker's case, those blanks turned into some seriously dark speculation. Health rumors began surfacing in fan forums and Reddit threads, with people claiming he looked off in recent appearances or that he was hiding an illness. But there was no confirmation, just silence, which only fueled the fire. Then came the hoaxes. Multiple fake reports started circulating online, claiming Danny had passed away. Clickbait headlines popped up like, Danny Koker found dead, or counting cars star dies unexpectedly. Each one completely false, but share enough to make people second guess. Fans who watched him for years were shocked, confused, and desperate for answers. The weirdest part? Danny never publicly addressed any of it. No statement, no video, no clarification. Not even a cryptic social media post. The silence gave the rumors more weight. Some believed he was seriously sick and didn't want the world to see him that way. Others thought he had left TV behind to deal with personal struggles privately. You'd think someone so tied to a fan-driven show would want to clear the air. But Danny? He just disappeared further. No interviews, no rebuttals, just more rumors and more mystery. And while these theories spread like wildfire, Danny was quietly putting his energy somewhere else, into something that had been close to his heart long before television fame. Long before counting cars ever hit the screen, Danny Koker wasn't just a car guy, he was a full-on rock fanatic. Music was in his blood. His father had performed with Motown legends, and Danny himself fronted a hard rock band called Count 77. While TV made him famous, music was what truly fueled him. So when the camera stopped rolling and the drama piled up, it seems Danny went back to what he loved most. Fans who looked closely could see the signs. He started performing more with Count 77, focusing on live shows instead of TV appearances. Instead of posting car builds, his social media shifted toward concerts, band rehearsals, and vintage guitars. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't loud, but it was intentional. And then there's Count's Vamped, his rock bar and live music venue in Las Vegas. It's been quietly thriving even as his TV career faded. Live bands, biker meetups, and a rock atmosphere straight out of Danny's personal playlist. He didn't vanish entirely, he just shifted lanes. It also became clear that Danny had grown tired of the public eye. The lawsuits, the rumors, the pressure of constantly performing for an audience. It all added up. So instead of feeding the fame machine, he chose privacy. He stopped chasing ratings and started chasing riffs. The guy who once shouted orders across a car shop was now more at home behind a microphone than in front of a camera. And honestly, that silence that frustrated fans might have been his way of protecting his peace. Because while the world kept asking, "Where's Danny Koker?" he was exactly where he wanted to be. So, where's Danny Koker today? Surprisingly, he's not hiding. He's just no longer playing the fame game. Despite stepping away from the spotlight, Danny still owns and operates Count's Customs in Las Vegas. The shop is open, and visitors say he occasionally makes appearances, though he's far less involved in day-to-day operations than he used to be. It's no longer about camera crews and TV deals. It's about keeping his passion alive on his own terms. His bar and music venue, Count's Vamped, is busier than ever. Local and touring rock bands still pack the place, and Danny's often spotted there supporting live music. It's a hangout for bikers, metalheads, and fans who remember the Counting Cars days. But now it feels more like Danny's personal playground than a TV set. He's also still active with his band, Count 77. They continue to perform across the country, and Danny seems genuinely happy when he's on stage. Unlike reality TV, where drama is baked into every episode, the music world gives him a way to connect with people without the chaos. It's not that Danny vanished. It's that he shifted his spotlight to something more meaningful. He hasn't made any official return to television, and there's been no announcement about new seasons of Counting Cars. The History Channel has stayed quiet, too, leading many to believe the show is unofficially done. But for Danny, that chapter might already be closed, and he doesn't seem in any rush to reopen it. As of now, he lives life on his terms. No camera crews, no interviews, just cars, music, and an occasional cold beer at his bar. And for a guy who built his empire around rebellion and freedom, maybe that's exactly the way he wants it. In an age where most celebrities overshare every detail of their lives, Danny Koker's silence has been louder than any headline. No tell-all interviews. No dramatic social media posts. No carefully worded statements. Just nothing. And that silence, it says more than words ever could. It's easy to assume something went wrong, that he walked away because of scandal, stress, or burnout. But maybe, just maybe, Danny did something most public figures never have the courage to do. He quit while he was ahead. At the height of his fame, he stepped back, without explanation or apology, and returned to the parts of life that truly mattered to him. In a way, that quiet exit fits Danny's character perfectly. He's always been a little rebellious, a little unpredictable. The kind of guy who listens to his gut more than any network executive. He built his brand by being real. And maybe that same instinct told him it was time to disappear before the spotlight turned toxic. Fans may never get closure. There may never be a final episode or behind-the-scenes documentary explaining it all. But the truth is, Danny doesn't owe anyone that. He gave years of entertainment, passion, and personality, and then, when it stopped feeling right, he simply walked away. His silence isn't a mystery to solve. It's a message. Not everything has to be public. Not every decision needs a headline. Sometimes, peace is worth more than fame. Danny Koker's story isn't just about cars, tattoos, or reality TV. It's about a man who lived on his own terms, blazing a trail few dare to follow. From his early days in Vegas to becoming a beloved TV personality, Danny showed what happens when passion meets authenticity, and why that combo resonates so deeply. Counting Cars wasn't just another show. It was a celebration of individuality, grit, and the beauty of giving old machines a new life. Danny's personality, raw, loud, unapologetic, made him more than a mechanic. He became a symbol of rock and roll spirit in a world that often feels too polished. Even with the controversies, lawsuits, and whispers, Danny's influence remains. Count's Customs is still an iconic shop, inspiring countless car enthusiasts. His music continues to energize fans. And the legend of the Count lives on, partly because he chose to step away rather than fade away. What happened to Danny Koker might never be fully explained, but maybe that's the point. His legacy is about the freedom to choose your path, even if it means leaving the spotlight behind. For fans, that's both frustrating and fascinating, because a man who once ruled the reality car world proved the most rebellious move of all was simply walking away. And that's a story worth telling. If you found this video eye-opening, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.